What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Although she lagged behind Frey in terms of flying speed, she was superior in every other way. She was on the verge of winning the battle since there was no way she could lose in a fight. Nazim intended to mock Frey's statements because they were not even genuine, but the next thing Frey said caused her to alter her expression.
Being a harpy queen necessitates a wide range of skills. Only those born with them will be acknowledged as the next queen. You had the misfortune of being born as my twin.
The entire time, you've been speaking arrogantly to me.
Then I'll get right to it. The queen has an unrivaled advantage against attacks of her own kind. In other words, harpy attacks won't have an effect on me.
Don't tell me lies. Such a crazy idea cannot be true.
In the back of her mind, Nazim considered what it would entail if it were true, but she dismissed it as unlikely. It would be in conflict with the assassination of the former queen if the tale were indeed accurate.
You intended to mislead me, but you ought to have come up with something more plausible.
It's unfortunate that you don't trust me, but it's true. The fight between the old and new queens, by the way, does not always take place. Two sisters who share an ability will typically fight one another. The winner will be named queen if they can control the other's strength.
In actuality, one would also receive the Demon Lord seed at the same moment.
What?
It was up to me to kill my mother because you were born as a mutant. What's even more heinous is that you ignored my mother's plea to keep you alive. I'm not sure if you're my sister or not, but I wish you could have found a calm place to live.
Don't be a fool. Do you believe you have already won? I'm your sister, and I have combat ability in addition to the harpy race. If you let me use that...
It's too late now. I've already stored up enough energy. I don't want you to suffer, therefore I'll put an end to it with a single strike.
It can't be.
Only then did Nazim see Frey's wings had gone purple. Purple electricity had tainted the stunning, snow-white wings with golden mesh. Nazim became terrified as she knew what this meant.
Was she storing the shockwave I unleashed? If that's the case, how strong is...
In a panic, she tried to flee, but the claws that were grasping Frey's arms were immobilized. Frey's delicate hands were similarly attached to Nazim's wrists. The outcome would have been different if Nazim had been awakened before meeting Frey. However, that was merely a hypothetical story.
Goodbye, elder sister. Echo reflection.
Frey did not pause. When she became queen, she abandoned all feelings. The stored purple electricity was suddenly released. This was Frey's ability, the unique skill, Double Winner. Frey was able to retaliate against any attack directed at her. It was a tricky skill to use because the user was also injured, but since this was an attack from one of her own kind, Frey had complete dominance, despite the fact that the attacker was stronger. Nazim, who had been hit by all of the accumulated electric shocks, was instantly burnt to death.
I don't care if you're my sister or not, but my mother's sweetness bothers me. Still, elder sister, I'm a little envious. At the very least, you have received my mother's love.
Frey said her final words to Nazim as she collapsed. Those words were never heard by Nazim. The Harpy sisters were unable to communicate with one another, and their reunion had come to an end. It would have been lovely if it had stopped there.
Wait, what? The souls that collected in Nazim are approaching me.
Frey became drowsy all of a sudden.
No way, is this the evolutionary slumber? So, instead of Nazim, the resentment is directed at me.
Frey didn't necessarily object to becoming a true demon lord, but there were still concerns about the appropriate moment and location. Frey had intended to laugh at Carrion's foolishness afterward, but now she was convinced that this was no joke. But complaining was pointless at this point.
Lucia and Claire? You need to protect me. Protect Carrion, too.
Understood, Lady Frey. As the Queen orders.
The twins quickly answered. Frey flew alongside Carrion as soon as she saw this. She decided that grouping them together would make it easier to protect them than separating them. She also believed that fighting alongside the twin wings would boost their chances of survival because Sophia of the Beastketeers was protecting Carrion's side. Having stated that,
Oh, no. Despite the fact that I was sent as reinforcement, I merely served to delay everyone down. I never imagined myself in such a state, falling asleep in the middle of combat.
She was writhing in shame on the inside. This was something Frey had not anticipated. Frey hesitantly went asleep, not knowing if she would wake up again. Gabble was engaged in a deadly duel with Baraga. The outcome was determined by the Azure Dragon Spear in Baraga's hand. The discrepancy in weaponry deciding the war was unacceptable to Gabble. In actuality, even Gabble's dragon skin couldn't keep him from being stabbed by the Azure Dragon Spear.
You should not be underestimated for having wounded me.
That's my line.
I had intended to kill you with a single blow, but you're tougher than I expected.
They were both covered with wounds. Neither of them, however, ceased their attacks. The wounds kept getting worse, but neither of them appeared to mind.
It's surprising that you're on equal footing with me now that I've awakened, but I can't afford to lose.
Even if Sir Gladium hadn't been awakened, he would have been stronger than you. If he had, he would not have fought against you.
Nonsense. A lot of individuals under Sir Rimmeru's leadership are stronger than I am. You're not bad, but you're nothing compared to someone like Miss Ultima.
Gabble didn't appear to understand that his statements were similar to labeling himself a little fish. Despite lacking in that aspect, he took this statement quite seriously. Despite his difficulties, Gabble kept an eye on the current state of affairs. To avoid involving the sleeping carrion, he attempted to show an opening to elicit Baraga's movements. He was able to gradually move the place of the battle thanks to his efforts.
Sufia has also come to his assistance, so Carrion should be okay. Besides, I'm confident I can pull off a few significant moves without involving them here.
Gabble was thinking about a lot of things as he fought. Frey also vanquished one of the 3 generals while doing so.
No way. Nazim has also been defeated.
In addition to Gladium, the female general and second in command had been slain. When confronted with this information, Baraga became enraged.
I will never forgive you. I shall use my spear to avenge my companions' deaths.
He yelled. This was the turning point in Baraga's life.
A real Chimera Knight is a fighter who has mastered the Beastman's intrinsic skill of beastification beast metamorphosis. Do you get what I'm saying? If you can withstand the artificially conferred medical skill of beast, you will be able to unite the might of man and beast.
As he continued to speak, Baraga's physique began to transform. Until now, he had retained the human shape, but the traits of a dragon were beginning to emerge. Although his military uniform ballooned, it did not tear. Baraga had taken on the appearance of a dragon like Dragonute.
This feels incredible. The releasing of my true power is such a liberating sensation.
It was Baraga's first attempt at reaching this level. Whether or not the metamorphosis would be successful, he had simply envisioned himself performing it and hadn't told anyone about it. But, with Gladium's death, the constraints on Baraga's mind had been removed, and with his colleague Nazim defeated, he had no need to be hesitant.
Come on over here, you guys.
Baraga yelled at his subordinates, who were running wild. Even the impoverished soldiers, who had turned into magical creatures with no will, would obey the tremendously powerful. Their intuition told them he was superior. There were those who had transformed into magical monsters, as well as those who had adopted the form of humans mixed with beasts. Baraga chose one of them at random and bit into it. The magicules rushed through Baraga like a pounding pulse. The one that was devoured dried up like a mummy and died on the spot.
How could you? That was your subordinates. Despite this,
They ought to be appreciative that they had the good fortune to pass away while serving me.
how self-centered. Do not expect me to let you get away with such wickedness.
Gabble unleashed a searing strike. He knew instinctively that leaving things untreated would cause problems. According to the situation, he was presumably refilling energy from his subordinates in order to satisfy the new maximum value that his metamorphosis had enhanced. Baraga's magicule level remained the same as Gabble's. It would be unreasonable to criticize Gabble for his impatience given that he was on the point of becoming an artificially awakened demon lord. Impatience, on the other hand, has the worst conceivable outcomes.
Fool. Those who lose their senses in the battlefield will perish. Did you really think I'd be so preoccupied with my food that I let down my guard?
Baraga's actions have 2 meanings. The first was to make up for his increased strength. The other option was to set a timer for Gabble. The strategy worked, and Gabble jumped to his death.
What?
It was too late by the time he recognized what was going on. Baraga expertly handled the Azure Dragon spear with his foot. As Gabble leapt into the air, the tip of the spear entered his belly. The magisteel breastplate didn't cover his abdomen, and even Gabble's dragon skin couldn't protect him from a sneak attack. As he was pierced in the stomach, Gabble coughed up blood. Baraga burst out laughing when he saw this.
You, too, will become my food. You should be honored.
Gabble was in a dire situation, yet it seemed fate would not let him die.
Confirmed. The effect of Lucky Devil has been activated. Successful. Individual name. Gabble's fate has been altered, and death has been avoided.
It was known as the voice of the world. Gabble's fate was changed at that moment by the power of his unique skill, Lucky Devil, which he had forgotten about. When Rimuru turned into a demon lord, he learned this unique skill, but it had no known effects. All he knew was that it occasionally boosted or lessened the potency of his attacks. When he was in a good mood, the effect made his attacks stronger, and when he was in a bad mood, they became weaker. Though in some ways it was Gabble's ideal talent, it was a difficult skill to employ. However, while this unique skill had saved Gabble's life, its full capabilities remained undiscovered.
What? I thought I'd been pierced in the stomach.
Gabble, on the other hand, was a man who didn't care about the details, so he stopped thinking about what had just transpired and resumed his fight against Baraga.
How is that possible? What the hell happened?
From Baraga's perspective, this was not so easy to dismiss. He had just duped a powerful foe like Gabble into thinking he could finally destroy him, but Gabble had stood up after his counterattack. It was only reasonable for him to suspect a ruse. He was certain of victory as long as he could land that punch.
Don't be silly, you idiot. Let's go again, and this time I'll pierce your heart.
He absorbed magicules and gained power. It would be easy to destroy Gabble without using any tactics, Baraga reasoned as he retracted his Azure Dragon Spear. The two men were once more engaged in a staring contest, poised to attack at any moment. Gabble was in a difficult situation. He was lucky to have had his life saved once, but he would not have it done again. Gabble had no idea that the unique skill, Lucky Devil's ability, Change Fate, once triggered, had a considerable cooldown before it could be used again. No matter how good the skill was, it could only be used once every day. As a result, Gabble was at a loss for what to do. His strength had been depleted by the constant conflict. He was exhausted after just surviving the verge of death. Despite the circumstances, Gabble grinned confidently and showed no symptoms of weakness.
Your abilities are great, but I will not be defeated. After all, my master is exceptional, so don't expect to win so easily.
Gabble tightened his focus in preparation for any move Baraga would make. The fate of the conflict was decided at that moment, not by Gabble's unique skill, but by the birth of Seal in Rimuru's heart. A voice from the skies came to Gabble's assistance just as he was going to struggle with all his strength.
Do you desire power? Then I'll hand it on to you. Please accept the change to your unique skills.
Gabble did not respond by asking what that meant. The voice was so familiar and comforting that just hearing it made him feel at ease. As a result, Gabble consented without hesitation. The result was spectacular.
You made the correct decision. The Lucky Devil unique skill will be sacrificed to grant you new abilities.
Gabble gained a new power as soon as the voice vanished.
Episode 21, Jinwoo vs. Vulcan. The epic showdown. Jinwoo and his shadow army clash with Overlord Vulcan in an epic battle. Will he come out on top? Don't miss episode 21. Tune in now for action and surprises.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, Chris Guzman, Havox, Speed Saber, James Waters, Arijit Das, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Stone Larone, Chris Kaalim. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.